right, let's start this Tekken 7 Jin Green Ranks walkthrough. Jin is one of my favorite characters in all of Tekken. I just think he's a really cool character. I like his story. I like his design. He is, in my opinion, one of the most well-rounded characters in the game. He is very strong, in my opinion, as well. Also, unfortunately, Jin is a complex character to learn, and he's also a very popular character. And for a new player, that's really not like a good combination. So like if you want to play, say, somebody like Zafina. Zafina is tricky. She has a lot of 50-50 mix-ups, and she's not really popular. So that gives you an edge. And Zafina is actually a strong character. Versus Jin, who is very strong, complex to play. So it'll take you a lot of time to learn how to play him. But also, because so many people actually play him, they have an idea of the matchup. So your fundamentals are probably going to have to be higher on average to win with Jin. And that's a good thing overall, but it can be an annoying thing when you're trying to rank up. For example, you might pick Eddie and fly to Vanquisher and pick Jin, and it takes you 5 times as long to hit Vanquisher. But if you like Jin, play Jin. I think he's a fun character. I think he's well worth it. I don't main Jin by any means, but he is in my top 15 characters I like to play with. And just like all my other Green Rank walkthroughs, I will not be doing things to the best of my ability that I couldn't do when I was in the Green Ranks. So I won't be doing wave dashing. I couldn't do that in the Green Ranks. I won't be doing perfect electrics, which is something I didn't even start practicing with Jin until I hit the orange ranks, if I'm being completely honest. No backdash canceling. No breaking every throw, which is not that easy to do on PS4 anyway. But in the Green Ranks, I only pressed the one button to break throw. So if it wasn't a generic throw or a one break, I couldn't do it. And like I said in my other videos, the reason I do this when I do these walkthroughs is because when I was coming up in the Green Ranks, I was watching like Frame Whispers and Main Man. And when they was playing characters that I use, it was encouraging in the sense to see them fly through the Green Ranks, but it was a little discouraging because I was seeing them like doing perfect electrics back to back, wave dashing, Korean backdash or whatever, backdash canceling, and breaking every throw. And I was like, I can't even do that. So it made me feel like I couldn't get out of Green Ranks until I was able to do that. And I don't want you guys to feel like that. So that's why I try my best to only do certain things. I try my best to only do what I could do when I was in the Green Ranks, if that makes sense. All right, before we get started with Jin's key moves, Jin has a lot, guys. He really does. He has a lot of key moves that I'm not going to be cover everything. I'm only going to go to key moves that I honestly think are easy to learn and good for beginners. For example, I'm showing you Jin's stance, which is a big part of his game. I'm not going over Jin's stance again. I just think that would make the video way too long. Starting off, we're talking about Jin's Magic 4, which is a 13 frame high attack. It is -9 on block, so safe on block, plus 16 on hit. Crazy frames on hit, and it's also a counter hit launcher, and this is also a homie move, so that's pretty good in itself because 13 frames is fairly fast in my opinion for a homie move, and that's going to be very helpful for you guys when you get to the higher ranks where people step and sidewalk a lot. But at the lower ranks, I don't see that as much. However, because this is a 13 frame counter hit launcher, you're going to see later in the video when I talk about some of his other key moves that this move synergizes very well with those moves on hit. Alright, moving on to Jin's 10 frame block punisher, which is his 2-4 attack, which is a high attack. It is -9 on block and knocks down on hit and on counter hit. This attack does not gel, so if your opponent blocks the first attack, they can duck the second attack and launch you. However, this is his 10 frame block punisher, and you should pretty much only use it for block punishment. Maybe in certain cases, if you know there's a gap in your opponent's strength, you can interrupt with a fast attack. Maybe you can use it then. That might be a little advanced, but for the most part, you should only be using this as a 10 frame block punisher, and it is a very solid 10 frame block punisher. 2-1 is a string you're going to see me use a lot. It's a very solid string, and if you are a Jin main, you're probably going to use this throughout your entire time of playing Jin. It is a high mid string that comes out at 10 frames, which makes sense because 2-4 is a 10 frame string. It is -3 on block, so very solid frames on block. You can move around, do what you want. It is +6 on hit and on counter hit. And on hit, this synergizes well with the Magic 4, especially at this rank when people press a lot of buttons, because you land this on hit, get the +6, Magic 4 is now a frame trap. This string also has a follow-up in 2-1-4, which is high mid, which is also safe on block, which it's kind of crazy to me, but it's not like a counter hit launch or anything, so I guess it is what it is. It's -9 on block and +4 on hit and on counter hit, and you can also delay the last hit of this string. Jin's down 4-1 is a solid down 4-1 in my opinion. It may not have the frames of, say, I think Armor King's down 4-1 is like -1 on block and like +7 on hit. I can't remember, but the frames are crazy on block and on hit. Whereas Jin's down 4-1, it does come out of 13 frames. It's -3 on block, completely safe on block again. You can move around, do what you want. +4 on hit and +6 on counter hit. And it has an extension with down forward 1/4, which is a natural combo. So this is his standing I-13 frame block punisher. It is -9 on block, again, safe on block, and +10 on hit and on counter hit. I would suggest mixing up Jin's 2-1 and his down forward 1 for pressuring your opponents from a standing poke perspective. Now his down forward 1/4, I didn't say this, I do want to say this though, it does not gel on block, so your opponent can duck and launch the 4 if you're just throwing out the down forward 1/4 in general versus just being a block punisher. 2 more key moves I like to talk about for Jin are 2 of his primary low pokes, which is down 4 comes out in I-16, -12 on block, -1 on hit and on counter hit. -12 on block is actually not bad at all, but you do need to be careful when you're playing like Dragon Off by the Wall or a 2D character with Bard. It might be able to launch you like I-10 or something crazy like that. You don't have advantage on hit, unfortunately. However, it is fast, basically unreactable, and it does tech crouch, which I'm showing you here on the screen, so it will go under high, so that is nice. Down back 4 is I-20 and -13 on block, +3 on hit, and a counter hit knockdown. So this is a little bit slower, but the frames overall, in my opinion, are better. Now -13, there are people that can launch you there, so you have to be careful when you play like 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓, but you do get advantage on hit, and on counter hit you do get a follow-up attack. There are 2 spacey moves I like to use with Jin. One is his 4-4-2, which is a mid attack that comes out in 14 frames, -8 on block, so safe on block, and knocks down on hit and on counter hit. You can also use this for whiff punishment as well. This is steppable, so be very careful if you have an opponent that's moving around. Next is his 4-4, which is a long range mid attack. It comes out in 16 frames, -8 on block, so safe on block, +4 on hit, and I'm showing here it's also a counter hit launcher. This is probably Jin's most popular move. Like, it's really a good move. It's a really amazing move. You will see a lot of high level Jin players abuse this move even at the highest level, and rightfully so. It's a very good move. Now you can also enter your stance with this move, and the frames do change when you enter into his stance. It's -1 on block, +11 on hit, so amazing frames on hit if you go into stance, and it's still a counter hit launcher. Now even though it's -1 on block, you need to cancel out of this stance to block. And you do that by, when you enter the stance, you press down forward, basically canceling into crouch, and back really fast to block. It's not easy to do. It's not hard to do, but it's not easy to do. It's not something you can just immediately just start doing. You need to practice this. And even though this is not something I did when I was in the green rank, so I apologize for that, it's so important that I am including this, and I will be doing it in my green rank walkthroughs. Now also, it's not as hard as, like, in my opinion, learning to wave dash, break throws, and do perfect electrics. That's just my opinion. This is something I think that if you practice, you can probably get it down within a week. Whereas I feel like if you practice wave dashing or doing perfect electrics, everybody's different, but it wouldn't shock me if it took you months to get that down. That's another reason I feel okay with adding this into the key moves. Quick overview of his crouch dash moves. I'm not gonna go into a lot of depth with this because the key move section is really supposed to be like a quick starter, really fast. So he has some really nice tools though with his crouch dash move. He has a mid launcher and a low launcher, so 50-50 mix up there. And his crouch dash 3 does give a lot of plus frames on hit and is a homing move that is safe on block. Jin has one of the strongest parries in the game, if not the strongest parry in the game. It's kind of an advanced technique, but I think it takes a while to master, so I wanted to mention it here, especially because I honestly think it is such a powerful defensive tool, and it can parry pretty much everything in the game, I think, except rage arts. Finishing up the key move section, you guys know I like to give you some basic combos to work with. So these are just some basic combo paths. These are definitely not optimal combos, but it's just something to get you guys started. If you want some more optimal combos, you probably got to look that up on YouTube or something. All right, first match is against a Leroy. Now, Leroy can be hard to fight against at all levels, especially at lower ranks. Now, I just frozen the screen here because he caught me with his parry, and Leroy's parry is annoying. Oh, he has so many parries, and they're all annoying, especially this one because I feel like it can parry everything. Knees, headbutts, rage arts, rage drives. Please post in the comments below if there's something that this parry cannot parry, because I feel like it can parry everything, and it covers strings too, so it can be annoying. But my tip is don't let it take you out of your game plan. Remember, you can beat the parry with the low, you can beat it with a throw, or you can just let it pass by and do a move with a slow startup on a read and catch him. So there I did a hop kick because he ran up to me, and I basically read he's going to do that low high into stance, so I did a low crush move. All right, so right here, caught him there. I basically canceled to see if he would do something that I could punish, but he didn't. He did his parry. It makes sense because they love to parry. Anyway, I'm just doing right here some pokes. So down forward 1 into down back 4. Jin's pokes I got, like, in my humble opinion. He has so many between 2-1, down forward 1, down back 4 and stuff. Now here, I'm basically just checking them with the jab. The jab is powerful, guys. I've said this in multiple videos. It's plus on block for most characters and plus like 8 on hit. So very nice there. All right, so standing 4, he blocked it. He caught me right there with that. I think this is back 4. This was annoying, simply because I actually didn't know. I mean, I know some characters can do this. I just did know 𝐿𝐈 can do it, so it really caught me off guard. So the first 2 he got, you can easily beat this just by tech rolling, which you saw me do right there. But I didn't even try to tech roll. I was laughing like, what? I didn't know you could do that. I didn't even try until the 3rd time, and I missed time the 3rd tech roll, and I got the 4th tech roll. But you know, it is what it is. You know, truth be told, I should have tech rolled the first time he did it, so that was on me, not him. All right, so on to round 3. All right, I think that move is punishable. That was a little risky, simply because I wasn't coming off hit, meaning I didn't have hit frames. I was coming off block, but I still did it. I kind of thought in my head he just won, so he's probably not going to do the parry. He's probably going to go for like a powerful move, but that was very risky. I could have got blown up for that. So just as long as you're aware of when you're doing risky things, you can, you know, learn from it. So right there, I did 2-1 into a hell sweep. So at this point, I'm basically reading he's going to do the parry more, simply because he's down. And like I said, you can beat the parry with the low, you can beat the parry with the throw, and you can beat it with like letting the move bypass it. So I'm showing you an example right here. I'm going to land a 2-1, get plus frames, and I'm going to go into Jin's, like right here, I go into Jin's CD1 and launches him, and it lets the parry pass by. Because I read the parry, so I did a move that was actually going to take longer starter frames and I let it pass by. Now here I just do a whiff punish into hell sweep, and right now it's kind of going downhill for him. That move is godlike. I think it's plus on block and a wall bounce and a tech jump, so really good move. I call it the magic 4 right there and won the match. Kudos to him, played well. I know 𝐿𝐈 can be annoying, but he is beatable, guys, so don't like plug when you see him or anything crazy like that. All right, next match going against a Genghis or 𝐂𝐓. I've heard it pronounced both ways from multiple people. Not sure which one is the correct way, but you guys get the point. So I start this off by backing up, hoping I catch a whiff punish, but he didn't actually do anything, which is pretty good on his part. So doing a 2-1 poke pressure, I dropped my combo right there. So right here, I landed electric after the move, which I wasn't supposed to do because again, I couldn't do that as in green ranks. So luckily I dropped that combo anyway. This throw is always a 1+2 break. I didn't break it because again, I only pressed the 1 button in the green ranks. I'm trying to follow my rules, but this is always a 1+2 break. So you guys, if he actually comes to do a throw right there, just press 1+2. That move I punished with 2-1. I don't know what it is in terms of the frames, but I'm pretty sure it's more punishable than -10 because it's a launcher. All right, and then I hit the down back 4 and then landed that don't hit into the counter hit magic 4 and end up putting him against the wall and finishing the round. All right, so on the round 2, hit him with a hell sweep. I love Jin's hell sweep. I don't know why, but I do. All right, so I did this down 1, which is a wall bounce move, and then 1, 2, and 3, which I believe is a spike move down. So kind of get a little Oki pressure after that. His 1, 2 is super strong, but it's -17 on block. I didn't punish it properly. I just did a 2-1, but just like you know. Now here, Genghis Raise Drive has a unblockable high and a mid attack that's safe on block, so you kind of have a mix up there. Jin, I believe, can parry both of those. I think Jin can option select. And something else you'll see Genghis players do as well is that they'll just recharge up his back, I believe it's his back 2, versus doing the unblockable high or a mid and then go right into another 50-50 mix up. All right, so on to round 3. All right, did 4-4 in the stance cancel, doing pokes. He caught me with his, gosh, I forgot what move that was, but it's a nice move. It's a tech crush move that counter hit to a launch. Genghis' damage is insane to me. I know a lot of people say he's not a good player, but man, he has some crazy damage in combos, man. All right, so now I'm just trying to do some basic pokes here. I thought he might do the throw. That move I think is -13, is down 2. And here I delayed the second hit out of that move from stance and then hit him with a down 1 and then into a down forward 1. Good matches to him. I basically just kind of poke pressure him and stuff. Okay, on to the next match, which is against a Marduk. Marduk is a pretty strong character. I don't see him very often. Typically when I get knocked down playing a Marduk, I try to be careful how I get up because a lot of times I use that to set up their tackle. So all right, he hit me with the low there, following up my down back 4, so he's basically just paying me back. You're gonna see I'm gonna have a little bit of trouble sometimes doing my pokes because I'm out of range with him just because of you know, the spacing of his moves. Broke the throw. That move he just did right there, I think is -10. Using 4-4 to set up that counter hit 3, very nice. Put him close to the wall. Probably should have ended with the kick to get a little bit closer. Again, doing my pokes, which you guys love to do. Now he blocked that sweep. He did a rage art and I ended up punishing him and winning. If he blocked the sweep right there and launched me, he probably could have did a combo in with the rage art or into a rage drive and probably won that round. I sidestepped there to a down 4-1. Could have did a better punish. Unfortunately, didn't do it. He's doing, I don't know what he's doing. I guess it's a 10-hit combo or something. Dude, Jin's back 2-1, which is really nice spacing move. I probably should have talked about that in key moves. I sent him towards the wall. Got hit right there. Being a little too overzealous in this match, honestly. Caught him with the down 4, 1-4 miss. Spaced the 4-4. So spacing still off. Caught him with a random hop kick, which works from time to time. Just don't abuse it. And be careful because somebody reads it. It is -13. Alright, so he hit me with 2 shins to the knee right there. I can't low parry that, unfortunately. Something to remember, if a character hits you with something that's not his hands or his feet, a lot of times you can't parry or reverse it. Like, for example, Asuka or Dragunov or Paul can't reverse like a knee or a headbutt or an elbow. But Jin, Leroy, and Geese can, but unfortunately that's a low attack, so there's no standing parry there. So I lost that round. We didn't talk about it, so moving on. Anyway, so here I got a little overzealous, got caught with that right hand, but he got caught with the spring kick, so you know, both of us overzealous, payback. He hit me, dropped me there. Now this is what I was talking about earlier. He knocked me down and then set up the tackle. Luckily I stopped the attack, but I probably should have waited to see if he's going to tackle and let it go by, because then maybe I could have hit him with a get up kick or something. Alright, hit him with the down 4-1-4, and I just caught him with punish with a CD1 there and ended up winning the match. Alright, next match is against a King. This is the final game, or final match, whatever. Guys, take my word for this. King is probably the most popular character in the green ranks. You really need to learn how to fight him. I feel like of all the green rank walkers I've done, he's been in every single one. And obviously you see right here, you got to watch out for his chain throws. Oh my God, I remember this. I remember this. He got this whole damn throw. Why is this okay? Like, seriously, I'm not trying to be an asshole. Look at the, rewind this. Look at the damage. Look at the damage that he just did. And somebody please tell me why that is okay. That makes no sense to me. You can nerf King chain throws by 25% and he'll still be by far the strongest throw character in the game. And, I don't know, man. That to me, that damage is insane. I don't think I got over until I hit the red ranks, because then I realized King wasn't like a busted character. So I guess on one hand, I'm like, you don't need to nerf him because he's not top 10. But I honestly still don't think that type of damage is okay. For somebody, if you break those throws, it just returns to neutral. You don't get to punish him for that. You know, and I feel like for that kind of damage, you should be able to get a launch punish or something. But I don't know. King is so popular. People are probably like, shut up. King doesn't need any nerfs. He's completely fine. Leave him alone. You just don't know how to deal with it. Shut up. King's throw game is stupid. It doesn't need to be that good. Anyway, like I said, he's not a top 10, so if you don't nerf him, it is what it is. Moving on to the next round. But I was pissed. Like, I remember now, I was pissed. Like, I did not play this next round good. I was so annoyed. Like, why? Because at the end of the day, if he does land that, it's a 1 or 2 break, and it's just a 50-50 guess at each section of the chain throw you can break. And if you guess wrong, he gets the whole thing. Normally I don't get hit by the whole chain throw, and I will say this as a good benefit. At these ranks, most King players only know one sequence of chain throws, and that's very important because you basically should be able to break the next time. You should never ever be able to get that again. I don't know if you guys hear that. My dog is scratching his neck in the background. But anyway, round 3. I'm sorry, I haven't been commentating the match. I just remember that and I was pissed. But anyway, okay. All right, round 3. All right, so this is his 10-hit combo. And I do not feel bad about low parrying this because, as I said before, King is super popular in the green ranks. And so many King players did this 10-hit combo that by the time I got out of the green ranks with my first character, I had it memorized when to low parry. So this is something I was doing in the green ranks. So yeah, you can low parry at that point. And most King players in this level of ranks will finish the whole thing. So I think that was a 1 break what he just did based off a quick glance. I don't know, but I do know it was a command grab. So anyway, got him by the wall, putting some pressure on him, poke pressure like you guys know I typically do. And I think I'm going to finish with that quite a few times in this one, simply because a lot of people press buttons. So that move is definitely punishable if it's blocked. It is hit confirmable, but if you can delay it a good amount and catch people sometimes. At higher ranks, it doesn't work as much. That is always a 2 break, and I should not have broken it. I might have still been annoyed. But that his 1-2 into throw and his 1-2-1 into throw is always a 2 break. Now, a really good King player will 1-2 and buffer into something else sometimes, but at these levels, typically they just go into the regular throw that's a part of the chain sequence, and it's just a 2 break, so don't forget that. I should make a video on how to beat King at these ranks because he is super popular. Anyway, putting poke pressure on him right here. Let's see, down, back, forward, mixing up that attack again. Anyway, that was a good game to him for abusing me with the chain throws. Nice stuff. So that brings this Tekken 7 Jin's green rank walkthrough to an end. As I said earlier, Jin is a complex character. It can take a lot of time to learn and get good with him. He's not easy to use. And he's also a popular character, so a lot of people who play will know the matchup, unfortunately. But he is well worth it. A very solid and fun character to learn how to play. Hopefully this video was good for anybody who's stuck in the green ranks or just lower ranks in general. Hopefully it gave you some insight and help you, get out of it. If you guys like this content, please consider liking and subscribing. I always say all support is very, very much appreciated. This is Asset Light. You guys take care.